In one of his letters, Seneca warns us to be careful of who we call our friends. He says that many people are only friends with us for their own benefit, and they will abandon us or harm us when it suits them. He says that nothing is more damaging, nothing is more hurtful than being betrayed by someone we trusted. He learned this lesson the hard way when he was accused of being part of a conspiracy against Nero, his former pupil and patron. Seneca knew that although we want to be generous and kind to others, although we want to believe that everyone has good intentions, we have to be realistic and cautious. We have to understand that people are flawed, people can be corrupted, people can have hidden agendas. We have to be aware of this. We have to be prepared for it. This is not only the greatest book ever written, it's maybe the only one of its kind. It's written by the most powerful man in the world who never planned to publish it. He would probably be mortified that his thoughts on everything from anger to death would ever be known to people. He's a person who had huge wealth, huge fame, and yet he's talking to himself about justice, self-control, wisdom, and courage. And the writing is so beautiful, so specific, and yet so universal at the same time that there's never been a book like it before, and there'll probably never be a book like it again. I'm talking about Marcus Aurelius's Meditations. If you haven't read it, you should. 3 key lessons from the Stoics you should remember. 1. Amor fati. It didn't happen to you, it happened for you. Fate gave this to you. Accept it, love it, endure it. Make something of it. That's the idea of amor fati. Marcus Aurelius says a fire turns everything into light and heat. That's amor fati. 2. It's about what you do for other people. Marcus Aurelius says the fruit of this life is good character and acts for the common good. The Stoics weren't studying this philosophy to be better selfish people, to make more money for themselves, to be more famous. It was about what they do for others. Are you helping humanity progress? 3. This puts the other 2 in perspective. Memento mori. You could leave life right now, as Marcus Aurelius says. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Life is short. Do everything as if it was the last thing you do or say. Seize the day. Those are 3 great lessons from Stoic philosophy you can apply right now. The Stoics are known for their powerful one-liners, and I would like to share with you 5 of the best Stoic quotes of all time. Number 1, from Epictetus. If you want to be beautiful, make beautiful choices. Number 2, from Seneca. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. Number 3, from Marcus Aurelius. We love ourselves more than other people, but for some reason we care more about their opinions than our own. Number 4, also from Marcus Aurelius. You always have the right to have no opinion about this. You can always think nothing about this. And finally, number 5, from Zeno. You have 2 ears but only 1 mouth for a reason. Every evening as you gaze at the stars, marvel at this. You are a unique and irreplaceable being in this vast and magnificent cosmos. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, it never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. We often sacrifice our authenticity and integrity for the sake of pleasing others. We conceal our true selves and conform to the expectations of society. But what if we had to expose everything that we think and feel without any pretense or deception? We would not survive a day. That's how much we depend on other people's opinions instead of our own. Don't let the fear of others' judgments control your life. Be true to yourself and others and live according to your own values and principles. How do Stoics navigate the stormy waters of passion? Let's consider what Epictetus said. Passions are not a disease of the soul, but a consequence of its judgments. We all have passions that stir our emotions and influence our actions. They can be positive or negative depending on how we perceive and respond to them. But what if we had to let our passions rule our lives without any reason or moderation? We would not flourish a day. That's how much we need reason and virtue for our well-being and harmony. Don't let the power of passions overwhelm your reason and virtue. Manage your passions with wisdom and self-control and live with dignity and tranquility. The Stoics tell us to stop doing these 5 things. 1. Don't worry about things that have not happened yet. Seneca says, he who worries before it is needed worries more than is needed. 2. Don't think you know everything. We can let it go. We don't need to have an opinion. We don't need to judge everything we see and hear. We just let things be. 3. Don't whine. Marcus Aurelius writes in his book, "Never be heard grumbling, not even to yourself." If you have fewer opinions, if you just take things as they are, you have less to whine about. 4. Don't be too busy. Marcus Aurelius was a busy man. He was the leader of many people. He had his own ideas he wanted to share. But he says, don't be all about work. Marcus Aurelius says, do one thing at a time, step by step. No one can stop you from that. Focus on the part of this thing that you can control, and trust that if you do the right thing, most of the time you will get what you want. These are 5 things a Stoic should never do. 1. Don't be mean to others. The Stoics value self-control, not controlling others. 2. Don't look for approval from others. Seneca says that when we do that, we lose our true self. You have to judge yourself by your own standards and not care about what others say or do. 3. Don't hang out with bad people. Epictetus says there is a saying that if you live with someone who limps, you will learn how to limp too. He said that as someone who had a disability. His point was we become like the people we are with. 4. Don't act like you know everything. Socrates was smart because he knew he was ignorant. He wanted to learn more and ask questions. You improve if you focus on how much you don't know. You stay the same if you focus on how much you know. 5. Don't wait for tomorrow. It is proud to think you have more time. Marcus Aurelius says you can be good today instead of choosing tomorrow. The reason we practice remembering death is to remind ourselves that tomorrow is not guaranteed. Every morning as you begin a new day, ask yourself this: what is the purpose of your life? Marcus Aurelius said, if you don't have a consistent goal in life, you can't live it in a consistent way. A vague or shifting goal will lead to a confused and erratic life. You need a clear and stable goal, one that aligns with the common good of humanity. A civic goal, as the Stoics called it. If you dedicate yourself to this goal, your actions will be consistent, and so will you. What is Stoicism and what are its tenets? Stoicism is the idea that we don't control what happens to us, but we control how we react to it. The Stoics say that every situation is a chance to show these 4 virtues: courage, discipline, justice, and wisdom. The Stoics think that life is asking us to use these virtues in different ways. The Stoics were not just thinkers, but also doers. Some of them were leaders, some were slaves, some were soldiers, some were artists. They were men and women. They were people trying to do what we're all trying to do, which is to make sense of the bizarre world that we live in.